Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. This one will be, this one I think will be pretty cool because we're going to talk about a movie that I have not seen, but it seems like everybody wants to discuss in a certain respect. And I'll address why I don't have desires to really see the film. Um, but I'm more interested in discussing um, a lot of the discussions being had surrounding it. And that film being obviously Sound of Freedom, which was a small production that caught a lot of people's attention, particularly in the political scene. Um, As far as I can tell, both parties, left and right, have their takes on the depictions of child trafficking that takes place in the film, because the film is very anti-child trafficking, which I believe everybody should be. But uh, but but there were some issues regards to how such a thing was depicted on screen. As far as I can tell, anyway, the left did not like the depiction, where the right was pretty much endorsing it. And there's many other things that were people have been discussing in regards to the film. You know, the star apparently being a sex offender, so I'm not sure what's going on there, um, but I want to talk more about the release of Sound of Freedom because uh, it came out in July and now it's September, and you think it'd probably be on streaming, but it's actually not. Um, so uh, I went on Vudu to check because I was curious to maybe give it a watch, but I didn't want to like drive out to a theater or anything like that. I had a ticket reserved, but then I ultimately refunded it because I was like, I don't want to drive all the way out. And like, I mean, I am interested, but I'm not interested in that. Like, I want to like go all the way out to some location. Um, because honestly, the movie, I don't really care too much of the film itself either. I mean, it's not. It looks really plain, like pretty generic, like action template, being utilized, which is where I can see where people might take issue with it because of how, um, just how artificial it's taking, the approach of child trafficking. Like I can get where people have issues, at least if the marketing for the movie is a match to the movie. So, um, but but you think it'd be on streaming right now, and as far as I can tell, anyway, they're denying clearance or making an effort to not market the film if it's like accepted. Because I went to check on Vudu, because I don't think it's gonna be on any other notable platforms like Hulu and stuff like that. I just don't, and we'll explain why in a second, um, but I think that Vudu would probably be the people who would probably pick it up, and they have it available by the end of the year. At the end of the year, literally December 31st is when it would be available on Vudu, meaning that other companies are probably likely doing the same thing in pushing the release of the film. And we all know why. It's based on these political discussions that are being had and pitting the movie into a certain light or putting it within a certain light that just doesn't, it's not warranted, because as far as I can tell, the movie is about child trafficking. It's against child trafficking. Politically, I'm not sure where there are discussions to be had. Obviously, people can talk about how child trafficking should not exist. I think everyone is in unity for that. But that's not politics at that point. That's just common sense. That's just people uh, you know, having some humanity and knowing that's wrong. Um, and like there isn't really if you were to view it in that respect, which I think is the most realistic viewpoint, honestly, of looking at the what the film is talking about, there is no politics really in the film. If you are to really, think of it or to, view it from that confine, which I think is the only real genuine way you can look at it. But because you're also watering down the quality of said film. It's just you're disregarding, like all the other themes that might be present in the film, or all about the other the other things that the film might be doing, thematically speaking, or in other respects, visually or whatever. But also from a streaming services platform, you're completely disregarding the profit that could be made from it. Because this summer, I mean, there are a few films that I had heard about ad nauseum. Like I heard about The Flash, mainly because it bombed, but um, Oppenheimer, Barbie. Sound of Freedom was also one of those films that I heard a lot about, but purely from, all this political bullshit that was happening. There's profit to be made there, so that should be the only thing that streaming services should be concerned with. They should not be concerned with the 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 politics that the film packages or the lack thereof, Like they should only be concerned by how much money they're going to make from it than the kinds of content they should accept. I mean, they have limits obviously, but only if the material is like so apparent, Like if they're wanting to be um if they're trying to make a political statement. And Sound of Freedom is not making a political statement in any respect, you know. It's against child trafficking. That it's just common sense at that point. If the movie was for child trafficking, if they actually endorsed it and said that this is a good thing, then I understand why the movie people would be hesitant to give it some kind of platform, because then they're just speaking maliciously and just stupidly. Like that I get at that point, And again, that's not politics. That's just common sense. Like that's just like that's not a political discussion. That's a humane discussion. Like yeah, people should be people should, it's an obvious, answer. If you are for child trafficking, you have something deeply wrong. Um, there's something deeply wrong about you, So, um, so it's not like I'm a left wing or a right wing for saying that I'm against child trafficking. It's just common sense at that point. So, but, um, but I guess like for some reason people wanted to make put the movie in a certain atmosphere, and it's just there's no reason for it. There's no reason for a film like Sound of Freedom, which is making a very definite, statement, a statement that should be universally accepted. Um, there's no reason for a film like this to be in such a heavy political discussion, because there's people who because the reason why I bring this all up is because of all this political nonsense. That's what's hindering the release of the film on streaming, and just the release in general for the film. Because I don't think there's even like a DVD or a Blu-ray copy. Like there's nothing of that because of how dense the discussion has gotten, and that's making the film harder to get released. And these companies are just pushing, if they are to accept it, they're just pushing the release of the film to the very, very last moment they can possible, because they don't want to market it for political reasons. And that to me is just not appropriate. Like a film like this should be just, like a film like this, it's like, I just don't get how you can view this message any other way than just, yeah, this is bad. And I think that from my understanding, at least from what I can tell, there are some people on the left have issues with it purely from its depictions, and then the right is just happy that these messages are just out there in the forefront. That's as far as I can tell anyway. Maybe the left does endorse child trafficking. I have no idea, but that's not my play field. I'm not gonna get into all that, um, but but there's no reason a film like this should be in the place that it's in. This movie should have came out on streaming a while ago. Again, the movie came out in July, and there's still no release. You can't find it anywhere on streaming, as far as I can tell. Yeah, there's no spot for it. There's been discussions with the studio to get it on streaming, but as far as I can tell anyway, there is no release for the film yet, and it's purely from a political standpoint. It's stupid. To me, that's just stupid, because there is no politics with the film. I mean, really, there is no politics. Politics is when there is room for interpretation. There is room for, um, um, there is room for meaningful discussions to be had. When there is just there's a fact, which is that child trafficking is a gross practice and is something that should never ever be done, and people need to stop this sort of thing. Um, like when it is that clear and that cut and dry, like it's not political at that point. It's just humane. It's like something that we all understand and are against, so it's something that we all, it's just common sense. It boils down to that same rationale. It's just common sense, so so I think it's just kind of ridiculous how a film like that, it just got pushed, so far into a certain sphere. It's like, and that's why personally I just didn't care to see it, just because it's like, for one thing, I just didn't want to, like, for one thing, I wanted to wait until the political stuff is done, just because I just want to watch the film for the film. Um, but also, I just don't really care to see it. I mean, it looks so bland. Like, I just don't care about the actual quality of said film. From what I've been told, the quality of the film is just mediocre. So, and based on what I've seen from marketing, it doesn't look that great. So, but I think that it's a shame that it's not getting the release that it deserves. And being treated a certain way, and it shouldn't be given that kind of treatment. It's a movie that's pretty humane. It's a message that I think that everybody should be accepting of and should be in support of. Um, you know, so, but again, I have not seen the movie, so, maybe I'm reading things wrong, but as far as I can tell anyway, the movie is about child trafficking and making a message about, against child trafficking. And, as a human being, I think that child trafficking is completely and utterly disgusting and should be get rid of. So I don't see where the politics come into play. So, but maybe one of you guys can explain. Maybe if any of you guys are more, more informed on the subject. Um, but and if you guys have just seen the movie, just let me know. But I mean, if you guys do want me to see the movie, I mean, you guys can let me know. But I'm not really that interested, just because it just doesn't look that great. But I don't know. It's kind of, it sucks that a film is being treated by its politics and not by the, and I'm talking about for streaming and stuff like that. It's not being treated as it should be, where it should be viewed as a means of profit and not as a political point. So. But you guys want to know your thoughts about the whole Sound of Freedom discussion? Let me know about where your mind's at, and everyone be nice. Obviously, there is some stuff that people can talk about, left wing or right wing stuff, just be nice. I don't care about your politics. I mean, if you want to bring it up, that's fine. But, everyone just be nice. But yeah. So those are my thoughts on that. And you guys know your thoughts. And yeah. So that's a good bit for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video.